Hello everyone and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Today we are going to build a multi-stage rocket, collect some more science, and see if we can't get into orbit. Let's go ahead and start our game here. I don't know which one. Alright, here we are at the Space Center. At the end of the last video, we unlocked these three pieces of technology in the tech tree. So now we have the Reliant liquid fuel engine, the Thumper solid fuel booster, a larger fuel tank, radial decouplers, heat shields, parachutes, radiators, and so forth. Alright, we're going to head right into the vehicle assembly building and see if we can build ourselves a rocket to get into space. I believe in our last video our maximum altitude was about 25 or 26 kilometers. That's the goal to beat today. We are going to go higher than 25 or 26 kilometers. Alright, I've already explained how everything works here, so let's go ahead and build a rocket that I hope will get up past our altitude limit and then up into space. We're going to start with a command pod here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this monopropellant. We don't need that. We're going to go ahead and put a parachute on the top there. Now we received two new parachutes at the end of the last video. Let me just show those here. The radial mount drogue chute. This is a smaller one, and it goes on the side, like so. And we also have this larger radial mount parachute, similar to the one we have on the top. This one, much bigger. That's the size difference of those. The service bay I didn't really go into, but that kind of clamps in line with everything else. You can right click it and open it, and in here you can put things. I can take a mystery goo container. We can see if we can't put it sideways. Something I failed to mention in previous videos. When you click an item and bring it out here and attach it to the ship, or even when it's just out here and not touching anything, if you hit the WASD keys or the Q and E, you can rotate the part in different directions. This is hitting S, so the down key. W goes the opposite direction. A and D, this is A, this is basically like rotating it. D rotates it back, and E spins it around like so. So, yeah, like that. So I'm putting something down here. I could rotate it around, and I can put a bunch of mystery goo containers in here if I wanted to. Other things you get later on will fit in there just fine. We don't really need it for this mission. However, since hopefully we're going up into space, we'll have to deal with the entirety of the atmosphere when coming back down. So we're going to go ahead and put a heat shield on here. Now, the heat shields use up what is called a ablator to dissipate the heat when re-entering the atmosphere. Now, from a standard orbit, which is above 70 kilometers, getting back down to the ground will usually only cost you about 5 or 10 units of ablator. We have 200 to work with, so same as we did with the monopropellant, we're going to scale this down. We can see our money dropping. Right now it's at 1260, and we're at half ablator. If we go back up, we're at 1310. Another thing I want to show you is over here in the engineer's report. Our mass is currently 1.2 tons. If we were to lower the ablator down to, let's say, 40, we're at now 1.040 tons. So we've dropped a good 0.16 tons. If we go down to just 20 ablator, which I'm just going to keep it at 20, we're down to 1.02. So that's a whole lot of weight we don't have to carry around. Alright, next we're going to go ahead and put a stack decoupler right underneath here. Now this is a tricky part I had some problems with early on, but I'm going to show you it right here. You notice how I said we needed to connect the spheres of black and green to each other. In this particular case, we have the opportunity intentional or not, to attach it to the sphere on the bottom of the heat shield, but also at the bottom of the command pod. Now this can be a little tricky. When you connect it to the bottom of the heat shield, this shroud appears around it to show that it's basically connected. You can disable the shroud, and it looks like it's not connected, but it is. We're just going to put the shroud back on. Now, if you were to take this and put this connected to the bottom of the command pod, it should still work, but I found that you run the risk of when you decouple this, you tear off the heat shield as well. So, we're going to take this and we're going to make sure it's connected to, whoops, I grabbed the heat shield instead of the decoupler. We're going to make sure to attach it to the bottom of the heat shield, like so. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to go grab a fuel tank. We're going to grab one of these FLT 200 fuel tanks. They're quite literally double the size of the fuel tanks we had before, both in contents, the quantity of the contents, and the size itself. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 of them on there, and I'm going to take the the swivel engine that we used last time and throw it right here. Now, this is essentially a single stage rocket. This won't get us very far into the ground, off the ground, but it is a working single stage rocket. It's smaller, but it'll do what we need it to do, because what we're going to do is we're going to grab another stack decoupler and we're going to put it on the underside of the rocket, like so. When you do it, a shroud automatically appears. If you right click on it, you can disable that if you want, but I think it looks better if it's on there. And then from here, we're going to go back to our fuel tanks and we're going to add, I'm going to say 5 of these fuel tanks on the bottom. Okay, now we put a swivel engine here. What we're going to do is we got a newer, better engine, the LVT-30 Reliant engine at the end of the last video. We're going to use this as our rocket down here. Now this is, in fact, if we focus on the max thrust that we see in the window on the screen there, max thrust ASL and then max thrust in VAC. VAC stands for vacuum, and ASL, I'm not sure what it stands for, but that basically just means in the atmosphere. So it gives us our max thrust in kilonewtons in atmosphere and in vacuum. So in the atmosphere and out in space. And its max thrust in the atmosphere is 200.667. Now the swivel was 168.75. So if you compare those two, there's the Reliant is definitely a step up. Our Thumper solid fuel booster is even higher than that, but I'm not sure we'll be able to get away with including those just because of the weight. Because right now our ship is 11.745 tons out of 18. I'm pretty sure if we were to add these solid fuel boosters, which are 7.6 tons each, we would maybe only be, we wouldn't even be able to get 1 on there. Yep. You notice how the gear down here kind of turned red and orange? It's because our mass just increased to 19 tons out of the 18 that we have available. Now we can increase these limits by upgrading our launch pad. Yes, when we upgrade our launch pad to the level 2, we can support a mass of 140 tons, a height of 36 meters, and a width of 39.6. I believe if we also increase or upgrade our VAB, we can increase our part count to 255. So, right now, we are not going to be using these big old things, as much as I would love to, because the boosters are great in getting off the ground and getting a lot of speed close to the launch pad. And they burn out relatively quickly, and when they do, you can just get rid of them. And how do you get rid of them, you ask? These radial decouplers will go along the side of your rocket. I only just have the one. If I hit the X button, we can change the symmetry count to 4, so now we have 4 here. And if we zoom out a little bit, we can go back to those boosters, and we can put 4 of them on here. Now, this ship is way too big and way too heavy, but this, as it is right now, will probably easily get us into orbit. Can't do it right now, unfortunately, but we'll just give it a shot with what we have, which is what we see right here. Things I'm going to do, though, we're going to add some mystery goo containment units to the command pod, although not 4 of them, 2 of them. We're going to get some science out in space, I hope. I'm also going to put an antenna on here. Now, power usage will be an issue, because transmitting data, which we're inevitably going to want to do with our crew reports, will it costs a lot of electricity to transmit using the antenna. Right now we can generate electricity with our swivel engine as well as the Reliant. Unfortunately, they have to be on in order for that to work. So, yeah, that'll be tricky. But we'll figure it out. Also, the antenna will work just fine like this. In fact, if you want to see it in action, if you right-click it and go extend, that's what it looks like. And then click it to retract. I prefer to have my antenna pointing the same direction our nose is pointing. So what I'm going to do is over here on this button, you see Tool Rotate. I'm going to click this, and then click the antenna. And this opens up this little atom-looking display. And then we can turn these wheels in different directions. Like this is along the red axis. If we click the blue one, we turn it like so. And then the green one, well, spinning it in place, kind of pointless. And there we go. But anyway, I'm going to move this, I'm going to point this up. Which... bit of a stickler about straight up. Alright, in this particular case, I can't make it point straight up. It's the snap setting is on, which means this will snap to a certain preset degree. If you either click on it and that hexagon turns into a circle, or if you press the C button on your keyboard, you can toggle between snap mode on or off. I'm going to turn it off in this case, and now I can fine-tune the direction I want to orient this in. There we go. When you're done with the rotate mode, just go back up here and then click the first button here, Tool Place. There we go. Okay, so we have an antenna. We have 2 mystery goo containment units. We'll see if... You know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a Science Junior on this. There we go. Just like our last one. I really hope that survives re-entry. I'll be completely honest with you. Although something I am going to do, just in case, is I'm going to put another parachute on it. Also, since I have the snap off right now, you see how loosely this kind of floats around. It doesn't really snap into any particular place. Personally, this is where I find I prefer the snap mode, because then I can put it at a general angle, basically a specific along the center position. Alright, so that parachute is in place. I'm going to take some of our new winglets and I'm going to put them down here, similar to what we did on the last one. Because as you saw, our last rocket did tip, and I kind of want to avoid that happening again. But we got fins on both parts, because this stage will burn out first, but this stage will fire off when we're higher up in the atmosphere. So these fins don't need to be as big as these, because there's not much air up in the upper atmosphere, but it will help, I feel like. It'll help a little bit as the rocket is entirely like this lifting off, but also when this is just by itself. Okay, nothing in command and control. We're at 12.338 tons. Alright, I'm going to try something. I'm not entirely sure if this is going to work, but we are going to give it a shot. I'm going to put 4 radial decouplers on this, which we do have... Oh, no, our part count is too high. I was going to say we could probably get away with the weight, but we have 31 out of 30 parts, so that's not going to work. Okay, scratch that. I was going to try to put the hammer boosters on there, because they're lighter and smaller, but they will also give us a boost. We're not going to worry about it. Okay, so this is our 2-stage rocket. Hopefully this will get us to space, and if not, then at least higher than about 25 or 26 kilometers. Okay, let's take a look at our staging, making sure we have everything set up properly. We have the Reliant engine here at the bottom. That goes off first. When this engine and the tanks are dead and empty, we hit the spacebar to activate this decoupler, drops all that down. Then this rocket goes off the swivel. Once that part's empty, and we want to re-enter, I should say, we'll hit this decoupler, and then we have these 2 parachutes going off at the same time. Here's one thing I'm going to change, and this is personal preference, you don't have to do this yourself, but the parachute that is now highlighted is the one on the very top, the very tip. I'm going to move that to its own stage, so that one goes off first. The reason I'm doing this, instead of having them both on the same action group, is that if something happens and I activate this parachute and it gets destroyed, I want to have a backup. So I'm using this parachute, the one on the back of the Science Junior, in its own stage as the backup parachute in case the first one fails. Even if it doesn't fail, and it does work just fine, I can use the second parachute to help slow me down even further. Because I don't know what my speed will be when I'm coming down to the ground. If it's too great, if I'm going too fast, it might destroy the Science Junior, and I need that because I will more than likely have science in there that I want to get. But alright, let's check our design checklist. It says electric charge is required but not generated. That's because we don't have any electrical generating items on this thing aside from the engines. And if you expand this note here, it'll tell you that this part, which it's referring to the antenna, consumes electric charge, but the vessel is lacking parts to generate it, except alternators on the engines, which is what we have. But these will only generate charge as long as the alternators are active. So we'll have to use that sparingly, because we'll really only have 15 units of electricity to work with, at least until we get batteries or some solar panels. But for now, this should work for us. We're going to go ahead and rename this. This will be our 2-stage rocket. Let's check our crew and make sure, yep, we have Jebediah Kerman in the pilot seat. You know what, he flew the last mission. We're going to put Valentina in there. She doesn't have any experience. So now we have Valentina in there. Let's see, we've turned down the monopropellant, we don't have any of that. The ablator is at, I'm going to set the ablator to 40, just in case. You never know what may happen. You just want to make sure you have some insurance to make sure so nothing bad happens, or if it does, you're prepared for it. But alright, I believe we are ready to go. Let's go ahead and save this vessel and hit launch. Alright, here we are at the launch pad. We hit Z, we go to full throttle, we press T, activate SAS. We hit M on the keyboard and go to our map mode. I'm going to set our view right above where we are and zoom in using the mouse wheel. Kerbal Space Center is on that little peninsula, as I mentioned last time. Now as we launch off, a parabolic arc will appear and go off in this direction because we'll be pointing east. And I want to make sure that apoapsis gets higher than 25 kilometers, just to say we did something better than last time, but definitely want it to get higher than 70. Alright, when I press spacebar, the fuel gauge will show up next to this engine and we can watch the fuel consumption and how much is left in the tank down there. Alright, and here we go. See if I can gather some science right now. Nope. Nothing worthwhile anyway. Nah. Alright, it seems our ship is tilting to the north. Yeah, it is. That's weird. Uncommon. But okay, as we're approaching about 300 meters per second, I'm throttling down, keeping us at under 300 until our altitude is above 10 kilometers, and that's because above 10 kilometers the atmosphere is thinner, so we'll basically be getting better gas mileage, as it were. And apparently we're going to go north, so... Alright, now that we're about 11, 12 kilometers, we're going to go full throttle again. As you can see, our arc is going up and up and up. Hey, looks like we're going to beat our record from last time, so that's good. And we're out of fuel. We're going to hit spacebar to drop that stage, hit it again to activate the next rocket. Let's keep an eye. Our apoapsis is now at 60 kilometers, 65, 70, 75, 80. I'm going to kill the engines at 80, and we're just going to coast up until that point. Now the reason I didn't stop it at 70 is because since we're still in the atmosphere, we do have resistance going against us, and that drag is bringing our altitude down. I overshot 70 so I had that buffer for that air resistance. And what we're going to do is that once we hit roughly about 80 kilometers at the peak of our arc, I'm going to point the ship parallel to the ground and go full burn on our engine, and you will see the two points of this arc that are touching the ground will start to move apart, and they'll start, in this case, moving up toward the North Pole and down toward the South Pole. And we want to get into orbit, you want to extend those until they're no longer... until they're expanding so much they aren't even touching the planet and they just loop around. And then when they loop around and they don't touch the surface anymore, where we have apoapsis here, we'll see a periapsis on the other side of our path. And once our periapsis is above 70 kilometers, we will be in orbit. Looking at our fuel, I don't believe we're going to get to that point. But we have made it to space. We've broken a speed record, altitude record, and we have reached space. We're at about 75 kilometers. We're in space, fellas. I'm going to go ahead and hit some science experiments here. 25 for just that. That's awesome. Observe mystery goo. Get 10 for that. Take a crew report. Alright. Now, we're going to point toward our prograde marker. Now that we're about top of our arc here. 79, 80. Alright. We're going to point at our prograde and go full throttle. You can see our path. The points are moving away from each other. Our fuel is going down rather quickly, but that's expected because it's not really, we didn't bring that much with us. Alright, we're out of fuel. If you notice our G's dropped to 0, that's a good indicator from the map screen that we are out of fuel. Yep, our gauge is there, showing empty. We right click on the tanks, also showing empty. Alright, so as opposed to last time where we landed in the water, looks like we're going to be landing on land this time. Won't that be fun? Alright, we're not going to use these anymore, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit the space bar and we'll decouple from those. We're about to re-enter the atmosphere. We're at below 71 kilometers. If you right-click on the command pod and go to Review Report, you can see the crew report that we did keep experiment. We hit that button. If we hit Transmit, we'll see the antenna come out and we'll watch the electric gauge go down. That took a lot of electricity. Now, at this point, we can only do that once. If we do this again, we'll run out of electric charge, and the problem with that is that we won't be able to activate our parachutes. So, power conservation is just as important as fuel conservation, especially in the early game where we don't really have that much of anything to work with. So I have SAS on right now, and as I rotate the craft, when I press the button, just kind of tap it, I move and then stop, and that's that opposite reaction working toward me. If I were to press T and turn off SAS, and then just tap that rotation button, I would just keep spinning. Alright, I'm going to close the doors on this. We do have data, but we'll still have it. I'm just going to close those doors so it doesn't burn off. I'm going to observe this mystery goo because we're in the upper atmosphere, while I'm pretty sure this data was on space. This right here is a heat indicator. This means that whatever this part is, in this case it's probably the mystery goo container, is overheating. When that gauge reaches all the way to the end where it turns bright red, that part gets destroyed. And that's because it's sticking out beyond what the heat shield will cover. A way you can help dissipate the heat is doing exactly what I'm doing, is just rotate the craft. I don't know why it works that way, but in doing that, it gives the parts a chance to cool down. And when they cool down, they don't heat up as fast, and it works out great. Oh, we just used up all of our electricity. Oh, no. Oh, wow. I can't believe that worked. I didn't know that worked. I didn't know that could work. We're going to be alright. I honestly didn't know we can deploy parachutes with no power. Oh, good. I'm going to deploy both parachutes just because. Also, the newer parachute I got, the radial mount ones, definitely a lot bigger. See the size difference there? Or is it? No, I'm sorry. It's the same. That's weird. I always thought they were bigger. See, apparently I don't know as much about this game as I thought I did. Regardless, both of these are set to an altitude of 1,000 meters where they deploy. You notice how our altitude is still 1,400 meters, and that's because we're 1,000 meters from the ground, not from sea level. I didn't control when they opened up and unfurled. I deployed them, but when they actually opened up and slowed me down to, what, 5.5 meters per second, they just kind of knew when we were 1,000 feet above the, or 1,000 meters above the surface, and they just did it. I have no way of knowing what that point was. It just kind of did it by itself, and that's fine because we're slow. We're slowing down. We'll be fine. When Valentina lands, we'll need to make sure to grab an EVA report, which means I should probably, I want to turn the ship around so we don't land on the crew hatch, but unfortunately I have no power in which to turn the vessel. Also, did you notice for our ablator, we started with 40, so we really only used 4.28% units of ablator, so we didn't even need 40. 20 would have been way too much, but we can't go below 20 without going to 0. There's no in between, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and hit our map, see where we are. Just some random mountain ranges or plains area here. This is the farthest we've been from the Space Center, so that's good. Alright, so that was a good attempt. We got into space. Heck, we hit 80 kilometers up. That's pretty darn good, especially for just a 2-stage rocket. There we go. Alright, can she EVA? All hatches are obstructed, can't exit. And I can't turn it. Alright, Well, all we have left to do is recover the vessel, I think. Can we can take another crew report? Crew report from Kerbal's Highlands. 1.5 science. It's better than nothing. Alright, so we're back at the Space Center, and looks like we gathered 53.5 units of science from that. So we have 75 science points in total. We recovered all of our equipment here, and Valentina. Alright, let's head to research and development. We have enough to unlock one of these. Although if we got, what, 4.6 more points, we can get... No, we need like 14. Never mind. Okay, so, for advanced rocketry, we have a carrier liquid fuel engine, a Thud liquid fuel engine, and an FLT 400 fuel tank. General construction, we have a Mark 1 crew cabin, a strut connector, structural fuselage, another decoupler. This one's for a larger radius rocket parts that we don't have yet. Same with this. This adapter is for the rocket parts we do have, adapting to larger ones. And then we have launch stability enhancers. These are basically giant arms that grab onto the side of the rocket on the launch pad, and you can disconnect them when you launch your rockets. So it'll hold your ship up. Aviation, we have a bunch of airplane parts. We're not going to be doing anything with airplanes anytime soon. Flight control, we have a small inline reaction wheel. This uses electricity to help move your craft in space. Winglet, another winglet, that's part of a mod, don't worry about that. And basic science, we have the Probodobodine Stay Putnik, as it's called. This is basically an autopilot for rockets. So you can send rockets up and control them, but not have to put a command pod on there or send any Kerbals up. Kerbals, yes. So, that can be ideal for satellites. Things you want to just put into orbit to have something in orbit. We also have a rechargeable battery pack. Very nice. Thermometer. This is another science experiment gathering item. Radiator panel. Another radiator panel. And a Communotron DTS-M1. This is a better version of the antenna. But I can only afford one of these things. To be honest, it's between the basic science or the advanced rocketry. We're going to go with advanced rocketry because I feel like this will help us get into space much easier. One more thing I want to do though is I want to upgrade one of our buildings. If I check my notes here, I think what we want to do, well, we can't upgrade the VAB. To upgrade these buildings, put your mouse over them and right-click. You'll see this is facility level 1, and the upgrade cost is right here. This is $225,000 to upgrade the VAB. We only have $198,000, so we can't do that. We can upgrade the launch pad. How about research and development? No. Astronaut complex? Yes. Let's see. Upgrading the launch pad will give us a larger shipbuilding budget for weight and sizes. And astronaut complex will let us do EVAs off the surface. And alright. We are going to unlock the launch pad. We're going to upgrade that. There we go. Alright, I think we've reached some pretty good goals today. We reached an altitude of 80 kilometers, well into space, and we're making good progress on getting into orbit. With the things that we just unlocked in the tech tree and our upgraded launch pad, we should definitely be able to get into orbit in the next video. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned some things, and I will see you all next time.